Welcome to the Independent Workforce, the podcast where we explore the now and the future of work through the lens of temporary employment, such as freelancers, contractors, fractional experts, you name it. Here we speak with CEOs, recruiters, founders, and industry leaders about how they work with independent talent, the wins, the challenges, and the lessons learned. My name is Yurii. I'm growing the freelance market at freelancermap, an international platform that's been connecting top independent professionals with companies for over 20 years. And my guest is Benjamin Walker, a co-CEO of Nemensis AG, who, with deep industry knowledge and smooth end-to-end processes, make it easier for clients in the IT and life sciences worlds to fill skill gaps, scale fast, and hit critical project goals without the usual hiring headaches. So, welcome, Ben.
Great. Thank you for having me, Yuri.
Super happy to talk to you. I feel like I already spilled a little bit of what you are doing, but still, tell me
Absolutely.
more. Tell me more about the company and what's your involvement with freelancers.
Great. So yes, as you said, I'm co-CEO at nemensis AG. We're a specialized freelance agency, which was founded by me. I work in the freelance industry for nearly 10 years now, and I know exactly what our clients need from freelancers. And that's why we restarted nemensis in 2020 to have a very smooth experience in working with freelancers for our clients. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We're growing pretty fast in the freelance market at the moment. Last year, we did like 25 millions in revenues, and we're a team of 20 people internally at nemensis right now.
I mean, back 10 years ago, why did you decide to focus on freelancers? Why not just full-time workers?
Yes, so freelancing is a very special case in the German labor market because you work with like almost only very high skilled and the top level skilled experts in the market. And that's what I really love. I love people who are top notch in their skills. I love people who who are working very I can trust them that they work very good. I don't have to call them like every morning, please be there at 8 o'clock in the meeting. But with people who really know what they're doing, and I can completely depend on them doing a great work at our clients. And that's what I really love about high-skilled freelancing.
It sounds like it's so much easier to deal with someone who can be like, who are not related on you managing them. Someone
Yes.
who you tell them the project, you tell them the goal, and then like, I'm on it, I'm doing
Yes.
it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I really love because I love creating solutions. So, matter of fact, I can't create the solution by myself by doing like crazy cloud strategies or stuff like that. But I know someone who can do this, and that's how I can support solutions. And this is what I really love.
And by the way, to your point, it's one of the biggest mistakes that companies, that end clients make, because they think that they hire, that they save money, that they are not
It's,
paying for insurances, they are not
yeah.
paying for vacation days, whatever, taxes, etc. But at the end of the day, and they still feel like they try to manage freelancers as usual full-time employees, but it doesn't
Yes.
work that way.
Absolutely. uh, and that's what clients really know, what I really have to learn. So they don't need to manage them. They have to give them problems so they can build the solutions.
How do you talk about this with clients? How do you propose? How do you tell them how specifically work with freelancers? How do you present freelancers to companies?
Yes. Well, in the first place, I'm not asking for okay, let's talk about how freelancers work, but I'm talking about what's your problem. I think that's very important because we need to understand the problem. And let's be fair, sometimes a freelancer is not the solution to a problem, but in many cases it is. And then we can talk about, okay, how can we set up the solution? And then I'm talking about, okay, and now we're talking about what is a freelancer? How is it working? But always with a clear focus to build solutions for the clients, and not about how can we manage the contract? How can you save a little bit of money? Don't think about the contracts. You can stop them like immediately if the work is not going well. I'm talking about solutions, and that's the main focus when I'm talking to clients.
Give me an example when clients came to you and told you like, hey, we need a freelancer, we need an independent talent for that, and you understood that it's not the best solution.
So normally these are questions when somebody's just is saying, okay, we need an expert where we can do where we can work with like an internal. So they're saying, I need somebody who's there at Monday at 8 and who's leaving at 4 and this 5 days a week. We don't know what he should do now, but we have a lot to do when he's there. So this is not like we're having a problem and we need to find a solution. You only need a human resource for whatever reason, but maybe we have to dig a little bit deeper here and find your real problems, and then we can look if we find the perfect freelancer for that. Because to be fair, it's not easy to find a person if you don't know the exact problem which should be solved by the freelancer.
From your perspective, why do they do that? Is it they have no idea how to work with freelancers? Is it because they want just to save some money and they heard that, oh, we can hire this person and not paying taxes and it's kind of like called freelancing? Or maybe it's something else?
There are different. So most of the times it's not clear at the beginning of the project what the real problem is. Or sometimes they only have like, we have always been 5 people in this team. One left, so we just need another one who can do it. And so there are different types of reasons why somebody's doing it like this, but mostly, so this is really like in 1 of 10 times, and 9 of 10 times our clients exactly know what the problem is and how they need to solve it.
So when they come with you with a, okay, let's go from this side. You identified together the problem, and now you know that they need a freelancer. How do you usually find and select freelancers for your clients?
Yes, so we've got like a multi-sourcing strategy to find the perfect freelancer. We of course have our own freelancer pool, but we also look like on platforms to identify the perfect freelancer, because let's be fair, your pool can be as huge as it possibly is. There's always one freelancer who's out there who can possibly do it a little bit better, or it's a little bit more flexible. You never know. You always have to double check and never depend completely on your own pool. And that's why we're doing this multi-sourcing strategy, looking in our pool on open platforms, on closed platforms. And yes, that's how we're looking for the best freelancers. We're collecting, we're doing like briefing calls, and after the briefing calls, we decide who can we present to our client.
So you told about the personal pool, and I believe that over 10 years you have a rather big pool of freelancers, and still you mentioned that you are going out there. So I'm curious, what tools or platforms or maybe networks do you use to have this multi-sourcing?
Yes. So we, of course, mostly use like freelancermap as a platform, especially for the German market. And this is, in my opinion, the strongest platform to find freelancers, because they are not dependent on one service provider. I think this is important because, of course, there are a lot of different platforms out there for freelancers, especially in Germany, but freelancermap is not acting like a service provider, and that's very important for me. And it's especially important for freelancers to have an independent platform to have their profile on. But of course, you also need like closed community-based platforms as well. I think especially for someone who is starting into freelancing, it's very cool to be part of a community because, let's be fair, everybody has the same questions when they start into freelancing. And where can they get better answers than in a group of freelancers who are like 2 years ahead of them, for example. And of course, LinkedIn as well, especially outside of Germany. LinkedIn is a very important tool for us to identify international freelancers for our clients.
So what's the hardest part of matching for a freelancer? So let's imagine you found, I don't know, 10 people and like,
yes.
How do you know that they are a good match?
Well, on the first thing is that you need exactly to know what your client wants. I think this is the hardest part to learn what your client really wants. Because, for example, if you only get like 3 skills, how can you possibly match a profile with 15 years working experience with 3 skills? That's nearly impossible. Only if you know your client very well. We've got some of these clients who only write like one sentence: Ben, I need another backend developer. So you really need to know what they are talking about, that they can send you just like a single line email. How are we doing? How can we select the freelancer in the following process? I think the most important part is to talk with them about their experiences. Yeah, we need to find the important skills in the profile, but not everybody is putting every skill into a profile because you have like 20 pages of CV if you put every skill there. And that's why talking to them is very, very important. So we talk to them, okay, look, this is the problem at our client. How can you provide a solution? And where did you have a similar experience before? Because that's important for our clients to find somebody who can work or be productive pretty fast. I think that because otherwise they can doing like a normal hiring process, for example. If they've got time for like a year until somebody is productive, maybe you don't really need a freelancer. And yeah, that's why I think speaking to the freelancer is very important. We're checking for similar projects in the CV. We're talking to them, and yeah, it's like some basic matching is important as well.
What skills are non-negotiable for you? Like something that freelancers just must have for you to present them to a client?
So for me, it's absolutely important that we've got like a good feeling that we can fully depend on them. So when we present you to the client, we need to know that you will really do a good job in the project. That's not like a hard skill or a soft skill. It's more like you have to be a good person where we put our trust in. And that's not something we can really check. And of course, we're doing a lot of mistakes in this part because we all know the projects which didn't went well afterwards. But normally we had a bad feeling in the first briefing when something went bad afterwards. So that's not negotiable that we can build trust in the first call with them. And I think it's the other way around as well. So they need to build trust to us as well in the first call.
This episode of The Independent Workforce is brought to you by FreelancerMap, the home of freelancing. Whether you are looking to hire top freelance talent fast or a freelancer ready to find your next big project, FreelancerMap connects the right people with the right work. No endless job boards, no guesswork, just direct access to verified experts and opportunities across the globe. Visit freelancermap.com and start building your next success story today. And if you place a freelancer and client agreed to work with them and I started working, what are the most common issues that clients raise about freelancers? What can go wrong?
Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of stories, what can go wrong. So a very typical story is like, they don't really know how to onboard a freelancer in a project because it's not a standard HR process of you're going to the internal academy for the first 4 weeks and then you're coming back and are pretty good prepared. No, you have to give them a person in your team who can introduce them into the project, into the technical field, and into the processes and the solutions which are already there. So our most common problem is that the freelancer blocked his whole day and now he waits. And the client is like, I can't talk to you at 9 and 10 is bad as well, but maybe tomorrow at 3, let's have a conversation here. And the freelancer is like, sorry, I blocked like the whole week for you because you ordered like the whole week. And so this is a part where we normally try to get started in the project. And it's important for both sides to talk to us in the first weeks if something's not working very well here.
And am I understanding it correctly that when clients keeps holding and like postponing the meetings, they don't want to pay for this time?
Exactly. Yeah. Sure. For me, it's totally clear that they don't pay for this time. But yeah, that's where the expectations divide, because the freelancer needs paid time. And so here we've got a very huge problem, and that's why we try to facilitate here in the onboarding.
By the way, it's so interesting because when like in usual recruiting in full time, people are ready to spend like months for people sitting and practically doing nothing but just reading documents and getting into. And when they hire freelancers, they are not ready to pay for like 2 days of kind of like discovering the onboarding process, even though it's not like freelancers part, it's like internal part. And it's so weird. But yeah, I feel like it's a really good thing to deal with. So how long does it usually take from opening a freelance position to actually freelancer starting to work with a client?
This is I can't answer this question easily, because it completely depends on the freelancer and the client, because there are so many things which we have to take in this calculation.
Let's focus on the best case and the worst case scenario.
Okay, cool. Okay, so best case, of course, is like a week, I would say. So you open your freelance position today, but you have to be very clear what you need at this moment. You just go out there and say, okay, what we need is XYZ, and then you receive profiles and you can start interviewing immediately, and then you can have a productive freelancer in like a week in your project. That's totally possible. And you can also take like half a year if you start like, okay, we don't know the problem exactly. We have to do like define the problem. Then we take a long time doing the interviews. Then freelancers have other projects, and are not available anymore. So we need another round of sourcing. And yeah, so we could easily spend like half a year with some clients.
Wow. I feel like these clients are just got used to usual hiring process and they want to use it for freelancers too.
Yes, and but I also know it's possible. So if you don't have like the pressure to get somebody on your project, if I ask in like 2 months again, I will receive new CVs. So that's the difference to the internal hiring. You don't got like this much of CVs for internal hiring. And if you don't hire like your top candidate, you won't receive another candidate in the next like 2 to 3 months. I don't think this is possible. But in a freelance world, it is possible because there's always a project ending and setting top experts free.
Yeah.
So is this cool? No, I don't think this is cool if you just let time pass and hire the next one who's coming, because that's bad for the reputation of your company. Because if I know, like, I don't know, let's say like some bank, if you know this bank is looking for freelancers, some freelancers say, I don't want to get introduced to this bank again because I know they're taking like 3 months to start the project.
Of course, unpaid
Of
months.
course, yeah, sure, absolutely.
And I feel like that's exactly what the companies miss and the clients miss, and that they can't just put someone on hold because freelancers are constantly moving forward. They usually end the project and they need another project right away. They don't have this luxury like sitting and waiting for the project to come. And so you know how it works from both sides. You know how it works from client side and from freelancers. You'll be on this bridge in between. So I'm curious, how do you manage client expectations around freelancers' availability and communication styles?
Yes. So we are pretty direct in this case, because we've seen a lot of clients who missed a top candidate for their project. So we're talking to them and say like, okay, we have to do like interviews in like 1 week, latest in 2 weeks. And we can't guarantee that they're available like in 2 weeks. That's impossible. And you have to decide if you've got the luxury to wait like a few more weeks to find other candidates. So we, especially if a client is new to freelancing, we take them by the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, we take them by the hand and just guide them through the whole process from A to Z, because that's very important to get them used to the speed of hiring a freelancer, and also manage them through all the contract details. And what's coming after sales is like after sales, and there's our after sales care, who is also doing like follow-up calls with the freelancers if everything is working fine, and the salespeople who are talking to the client if the start went well. So that's very important to guide them through the whole process, and to always communicate to the freelancers as well, like, sorry, we don't have a feedback yet. We expect a feedback on, for example, next week on Friday, and try our client to really give feedback to this time, what we said to the freelancer. But yeah, it's hard to realize the expectations sometimes.
So we talked already about the job description of how important it is to ensure that you are like doing it in the right way, and so that you can also find the best freelancer who really matches their needs. And we talked a little bit about the onboarding. So what really prevents freelancers from stopping, but also between hiring, between job description, onboarding, there is a huge gap of administration work. So what are the main administrative blockers for clients to start working with freelancers?
Well, I don't know how it's working if you're working directly with freelancers, or if you're working with nemensis. This is pretty straightforward. You receive an offer from us, you sign it, that's it. Maybe you have to create some accounts and stuff like that, and then you will receive like monthly invoices, and that's it. So we're taking care of all this administrative part, because I think that's really a blocker if you're not used to work with freelancers. And what do we need to do, like with data protection and which here thing like pseudo self-employment and stuff like that. What have we to look after, and what have we to take care in the contracts, so we can have a compliant freelancer project.
So it's easy for client to start working with freelancers because they just sign agreement with you and they just have a freelancer and they just do all the job. And what do you do with the freelancers? So you told a little bit about this compliance, about some agreements. So what is the exact process when you are starting to work with new freelancer?
Yeah, so if we agree on doing the project contracts, at first we have to check against like CARA and sanction lists, check the company where if they registered one, we are doing like a check from Taylor Wessing about pseudo self-employment and stuff like that. So this is what we're taking care of, and we're supporting with all the project contracts to both sides. So if there's, for example, if a freelancer has to negotiate a special thing in the contract, we can always talk to the client if we can. If we're taking part of all the negotiation, so both sides don't need to focus on negotiating about contracts, but they can focus on doing the project. And that's what we're doing as well, and doing like some legal support here if it's necessary on this project.
Give me an example of when you've placed a freelancer, they were working for some time and then something went wrong. So what did you do?
Yeah, good. We've got a lot of stories here to tell, because we are only working with people, and something can go wrong, like every once in a while. That's totally human. We had like a freelancer a few in the last year who had to leave the project because he didn't fit into the hierarchy, and he wanted to do his own thing. So principally, it's very good to have your own mind as a freelancer and go ahead, but you can challenge the whole structure of a client project. So he had to leave and directly went into bankruptcy. And so they thought maybe we can get a little bit more money from nemensis if we just declare him pseudo self-employed, because then we have to pay him longer, like an internal person. We have to pay him like for his holidays and stuff like that. And that's what can go wrong. That's what we are taking care of. So our client doesn't have the problem to deal with this. But we also have problems where we can't really help our clients on the first hand. For example, we had a very important project at a automobile manufacturer. They had to do like a new backup system, and to change the backup system at a manufacturing plant, you have to stop manufacturing the cars, and this is very expensive. And it's especially expensive if the freelancer you hired doesn't show up when the manufacturing already stopped. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, okay, we really need dependable person on our projects, because everybody trusts we stop manufacturing this weekend. And if you're not coming to the project, we all got a very huge problem afterwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are just like two examples. We've got a lot more of these examples, but we're working as a freelance agency to help our clients in this scenarios as well, so they don't have like the risks, the financial risks or the legal risks. Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly what clients are afraid of, that they hire a freelancer and freelancer is not showing up. So I wonder, how do you deal with this case on both sides, on client sides and freelancer sides?
Yes. So on the freelancer side, it's pretty easy. We are not allowed to direct them. We can't say you have to be there on Monday at 8, or you will have severe challenges afterwards, because in Germany it's not allowed to say when or where some freelancer has to work. So they are totally free if they show up or not. So we have, our job is to make sure that they show up. If they don't show up, normally we cancel the project and never work with them again, because fool me once, shame on me. And we already had the second part of this as well. Went to the client, said he was ill, had like an accident, all that stuff. And on the next day, he didn't show up either. So, and with our clients, it's very important to talk to them that they are covered by us. So we've got like some projects where we lose a lot of money because we have like these risks. And for us, it's important that our clients don't have the risks, or so I have to be a little bit, I can't say we take all the risks. That's for sure. But we try to make it as smooth as possible. They have to do their part of the work as well. But we try to have them covered if something went wrong. If they are causing a problem on their side, we have to speak to them in strong language as well, of course.
But once again, so coming back to this example when an automotive factory has to stop the production. So if they stop a production, they lose money because of freelancers not showing up, and they can't go for a freelancer, but they can go for you and they can take all this money from you. So how do you like create this safety net for yourself as a company so as not to go bankrupt, because sometimes it's easy to do that.
So of course we've got a insurance as well, but we're that's why we have to take some markup on the hourly rates, because we have to do a lot of creating safety nets for ourselves if something went wrong. And so from every person who's doing a good job, we're taking like a small amount and just put it into the bank for the bad days when something like this went wrong. And I think everybody can totally understand. It's like a small insurance in our company. So everybody is covered at our clients.
How do you measure the success of a freelance engagement?
We measure success in happiness. So a very good project is when client and freelancer are happy afterwards. And the best case is they finish a project and start working again like a year later, because I think that's where you can see, okay, somebody did such a good work, they will come back to them and hire them again for the project. And this is what we're calling like the happiness factor on the client side, on the freelancer side, but on our side as well, because if you're receiving good feedback from client and freelancers, that's what makes us happy as well.
And coming to this technology part, so there is a lot of AI stuff, and you can receive AI generated job descriptions, and freelancers are not stupid. They will give you AI generated job application to fully fit
Absolutely.
your.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, but how AI and automation is changing your approach to selection of freelancers and to management of freelancers?
At the moment, it's making hiring freelancers a little bit more difficult than it should. Make our work easier, but it doesn't at the moment. Because if we if we're doing like auto matching with AI, for example, we can't fully trust the AI auto matching, because it will always give you an answer which satisfies you. And they will always say, this CV fits very well to your job description. And if you ask them, okay, like, look at this 5 CVs, which is the best? You really have to check for yourself afterwards, because they lie to you sometimes. If you ask, okay, but I don't see the certificate, which is absolutely needed for this project. They say, you just have to look on page 4, and on page 4, there's no certificate. So that's why it helps on the first screening, but we are doing a lot of work and putting a lot of effort in screening for ourselves and to talk to people, because this is important as well. We receive a lot of CVs which are completely AI optimized on every project. So we see like all the skills which are listed in our job description like 5 times in the CV, because they're doing like automated CV creation or optimizing, even though they didn't work with a technology before. And that's, yeah, it's very hard so we have to do take a lot of time to look into CVs and talk to people.
You know, from what you've explained, I totally see that we still need humans. No matter what people say, we still need humans. Yes. And I'm curious, how do you see the role of staffing companies evolving as freelancing becomes more mainstream?
Yes, I think staffing companies will be like they're your guide. If you're a freelancer, you can take them as your guide, because you can work with them. If you find like 1 or 2 or 3 good freelance agencies, you can work with them every once in a while on a new project. And I think this is the part where the staffing agencies are at the moment. They are helping clients and freelancers to facilitate, so they can really focus on their project work, on their technology work and stuff like that, and don't have to care about administrating and stuff like that.
I feel like it's the best way, you know, when you just apply, you just check one button, check one box, and you are ready to go. And this person is coming, this person is asking all the questions themselves. They get everything they need themselves. You don't need to onboard them. And like in the perfect world, they just deliver you the best project and everyone is happy. But
yeah, absolutely.
We are still humans. So if you could remove one barrier from client side to smooth freelancer collaboration, what would it be?
So at the moment, pseudo self-employment is a huge blocker, really, because everybody is so insecure about this case. So to have a clear legal framework how to work with freelancers, this would be very great. And I think we could offer a lot more freelance jobs if we've got a secure legal framework here.
And from both sides, from overall the freelancer market, if you could change one thing about how the freelance market works today, or let's not just talk about freelance, but the independent talent market, how it works today, what would it be?
So if we just look there from a European perspective, I would love to see like if we have a European independent contractor market, because for example, if we got talents in Spain, in Poland, in Germany, everywhere, but we don't need everybody where he's living at the moment. So we should create like an international or a European freelancer market where we can apply on projects in every country. But at the moment, this is a pretty hard thing to do. We've got a very fragmented market in the EU, and that's what I would love to see if we can connect the countries here to have clients from all over the EU and freelancers from all over the EU to doing great projects together.
You know, there are these jokes that there is a remote working opportunity, but you have to be within this country, within this region, within the city, and within this street.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And sometimes within this office. But yeah, it's fully remote.
Yeah. True. We've seen requests like this before. Yeah.
You know, Ben, I wish to have the sky as a limit, but time is a limit to our conversation. So the final question, what advice would you give to a company considering hiring freelancer for the first time?
If you're insecure about hiring a freelancer, just talk to a freelance agency if they can guide you through the first process. That's it. I think this is the most important part, because you need to get started on working with freelancers. And if you're not completely sure how to do it, don't lose time, don't lose money. Ask a agency which is specialized in working with freelancers, so they can guide you through the process.
You know, sometimes people are avoiding this because, oh, we need to pay money, blah, blah, blah. But they are forgetting that you have like dozens of years of experience, and you can give them, of course, for money, because nobody works for free, but you give them for money shortcuts that at the end of the day saving money and time and nerves. But sometimes people are forgetting, like, why would I pay someone who has experience? Exactly because they have experience.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I'm sure you will save money if you're working with a freelance agency, because otherwise you will hire the next best candidate you will find. And most of the time he's not the best skilled candidate, and he's expensive as well.
Last but not least, from top of your mind, name 2 people I should reach out to talk about the independent workforce.
Well, I didn't talk to them before because I talked with Josephine, who are very good candidates for your podcast. So maybe I have to double check with them first. So one candidate is for sure Dennis Kirschner, who is a very talented contractor in the identity and access management. And he's like building small specialized freelancer companies he's doing a very good job in this. And I've got another, they're not like freelancers, but like they're, I think, 5 people who are starting since last year, which is for me like kind of freelancers. They're thinking about product management. They're called Arise, and Andreas Lani, he's the CEO of it, and he is definitely a very good candidate for your podcast.
Got it. Got it. Ben, thank you so much for guiding me through the whole experience of how do you deal with the independent talents and what challenges your clients face, how to overcome them, and having a little bit of laugh here and there around
Yes.
those unexpected expectations that some companies have. And yeah, thank you so much for creating and growing this pie of the freelance market. And let's continue doing that.
Yes, thank you very much for taking the time, Yuri. Really enjoyed to speak to you.
Man, thank you so much. And yeah, see you in the freelance world. And for listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Independent Workforce. I hope you've taken one step closer to working smarter with freelance talents. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to learn even more and share it with your colleague. And remember, the future of work is now.